This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It is the After Party Live. My microphone's all jacked up and weird on a Travel Tuesday. And thank you for being here. And thank you for contributing to the Mark Thompson Show and the Nikki Maduro Show and here at the After Party Live. I do have some people to thank, but I want to thank you for spending time. A programming note, the show, the Mark Thompson Show, and the After Party Live are both dark on the 3rd and the 4th of July. So that's Thursday and Friday. As a result, you'll find Michael Snyder on the Mark Thompson Show and David Katz on Wednesday. And you'll find Tim Sika, I believe, may be here tomorrow. I'm still kind of ironing that out. So a girl can hope. Why the 3rd as well as the 4th? Mark wanted it that way, and so that's the way it shall be. And since this show is so closely aligned with that, I'm going with his schedule, and that's what we're doing. And I think that it's a lot sometimes, and it's nice to have a little breather. So that'll be good for him, especially as he works all week. 2 jobs, this one, which is kind of like a full-time job, and working at KFI. So it'll be good for him to get a break. The Nikki Maduro show, though, I believe will still be on this week. We have pre-recorded the show, and that will be on and that will roll. So please do enjoy that on Thursday night. Just saw this pop up, and Trevor Starr in Hollywood with a 1010 wants to know if I'm familiar with the actress Margot Martindale. I look similar to Margot Martindale. Never heard of Margot. Oh no. Do I want to know? Because sometimes people will say you look like someone and then you see the person and you're like, that's what you think I look like? That's kind of a bummer. Margot Martindale. Okay. Now what you have done here is made me want to cry in my pillow tonight. Do I look that old? I mean, not that she's old and she's a lovely lady. I'll put the picture up, but I don't see myself as looking like that. So I think you've really just broken my heart, Trevor. Thank you for the contribution, but I don't know. Perhaps that would have been better left unsaid. And now I'll never look at her again without seeing that, thinking that you think I look like her. Here's a picture of her. So I've seen her in sitcoms, I believe, before, but I just have the picture in my head of her as an older lady. And maybe I just am in denial that I'm an older lady. I don't know. She has a very nice smile and a nice face. I just don't see myself as looking like that. I don't know. There's Margot. There's me. Thanks, Trevor. Really appreciate it. I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. Thank you for the contribution to the show. I appreciate that. Thank you also to folks that have kicked in to the show PayPal. James S. with a contribution of $5. Carol S. as well. Recurring payment from Linda G. Thank you for that. You can set up your PayPal to just dock it once a month. And then Laura W. contributing, Wes contributing this week. So thank you to everyone who keeps this show rolling. Let's jump right in on this Travel Tuesday and get some stories going. I have this one for you. This is a story about NASA. And it turns out that from now on, we'll be able to see spacewalks and launches all live streamed on Netflix. NASA working with Netflix to make sure that their information gets to the masses. They're going to live stream or launch a live stream programming on Netflix, and it will feature the rocket liftoffs, the astronaut spacewalks, live views of Earth from the International Space Station. And they're doing this because they want to get the largest possible audience. So starting this summer, you'll get to see all the NASA stuff on Netflix. They think that by doing this, they could expand their audience to more than 700 million viewers. They're still going to carry their free stream on their website and through the NASA app, but they'll also be adding Netflix to the lineup there. The folks at NASA say the National Aeronautics and Space Act of 1958 calls on them to share their story of space exploration with the broadest possible audience. So, together, they are committed to a golden age of innovation and exploration, inspiring new generations right from the comfort of their couch or the palm of their hand from their phone. So, NASA on Netflix. All right. I don't think that's a bad thing. We have more space tourists headed up into space on the Blue Origin. Going to call it a penis? Off it goes. 6 tourists up in space on the 13th passenger flight for Blue Origin. This was launched on Sunday from Texas. It's the New Shepard rocket from Blue Origin, lifted off on Sunday. It had Ali and Carl Kuhner, Leland Larson, Freddie Resigno Jr., Owolabi Salas, and James Sitkin on board. I don't know those people, but they're space tourists. Throughout the flight, they were soaking in the views of space as the ship climbed up to the internationally accepted boundary between Earth and space. That's called the Kármán line with a K, Karman. The engine fired up for about 2.5 minutes, boosted the spacecraft into high speeds. The capsule broke off from the booster, allowing it to reach its highest point away from Earth and giving the passengers the chance to experience weightlessness. Then the capsule came back, the booster returned back to the launch site, and there you go. Carl Kuhner became the 70th of the Blue Origin astronauts, as well as the 750th person in history to reach space. Well, trivia knowledge there. They've had 13 passenger flights for Blue Origin since Jeff Bezos took to the skies in July of 2021. They have launched 74 passengers. 4 of them have flown twice. We don't know what the cost was to go into space on the New Shepard, on the Blue Origin's New Shepard. They didn't give me a cost. I think it was pretty expensive. But off they go. This is another space story for you. It is a rare cataclysmic exploding star that was spotted by citizen scientists, just people out there with their telescope. The incident happened 2 years ago. There was a team of astronomers that requested help from citizen scientists around the world for a project they called the Kilonova Seekers Project. And they were asking volunteers to help them look through all the sky survey images that are captured daily by telescopes on opposite sides of the planet. It's called the GODO, the Gravitational Wave Optical Transient Observer. That's the telescope. Within 6 months, Kilonova Seekers, comprised of more than 2,000 volunteers, contributed more than 600,000 classifications to researchers. They made 20 new discoveries. And so now astronomers are announcing the project's first major published find. They're putting it in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics. And it is this brilliant exploding star that was discovered in real time. Pretty exciting. It's called GODO 0650. They have determined this cosmic body is a cataclysmic variable star, one whose brightness increased by 2,500 times in just 2 days. I'll show you the video of this, but I have to say, if you're sensitive to flashing lights, then it might be too much for you. Maybe don't stare at the screen. Here's what it looks like. Just kind of exploding star. You can see it in the middle there. Increasing in brightness. There it is. You guys see that in the middle? I'll try to zoom in. And that's what they found. Yep. I'll go back to the other picture so I don't give you a stroke. But maybe you're not that sensitive. I am. I don't know. I just don't like to stare at that kind of stuff for a long period of time. They say this cataclysmic variable star isn't technically a single object, but a compact binary system composed of a white dwarf stealing matter from a nearby donor star. And that matter can reach a critical temperature and density inside the gas disk encircling the white dwarf. And that is what results in this blinding burst of light and energy. And so the citizen scientists get named in this scientific paper, and they say they couldn't be more excited. This was a huge follow up response from the public. The researchers say this was flagged for further observations from the Swift and Einstein probe space observatories. And this star was bright enough for amateur astronomers to take impressively high quality observations of it with their own equipment. And that formed a key part of the paper and helped scientists understand this project. So they say thanks to the quick response from volunteers, astronomers had enough time to collect a notably complete data set on this star. It included X-ray, UV, and spectroscopy measurements, along with visual observations from amateur astronomers. They think this star is a period bouncer, a rarely spotted cataclysmic variable star in its final state. That's so cool. The citizen scientists say that traffic, one of the citizen scientists from Bulgaria says traffic is always awful during the morning, so I have to pass time on the bus somehow, and contributing to citizen science is an excellent way to do that. He said he literally screamed with joy when he learned his idle star searching would lead to a research paper co-authorship. He said, I'm certain that people on the street raised their eyebrows when they saw me screaming and dancing, but I didn't care because I knew I'm a co-discoverer of something significant. And this was all that mattered. One more space story for you. We're losing time. Big time. The headline is Goodbye to 24-hour days. There's an astrophysicist warning that the Earth's rotation is accelerating, and we could be experiencing coming up the shortest day in history. Now, it sounds like, oh, what are we losing, an hour? Are we losing 5 minutes? What? No, we're losing 1.66 milliseconds. So, not even the time it would take you to blink, but Graham Jones, an astrophysicist, says our planet is speeding up. We don't know why, but the Earth has been spinning on its axis faster than usual, and the prediction for the next shortest day on record can come on one of three possible dates, either July 9th, 2025, July 22nd, or August 5th. Again, we're talking a blink, 1.66 milliseconds. But they say the important thing is not how long the day lasts, but why this is happening and why our days are getting shorter. The solar day, apparently, if you've ever timed it out, done the math, lasts exactly 86,400 seconds, 24 hours, right? But the Earth's rotation has never been completely constant or exact. And so it seemed to be spinning more slowly. But in 2020, for some unknown reason, that changed and the planet started spinning faster. Now that's the new normal. There is no clear explanation for why. But these predicted dates for 2025 coincide with the times when the moon's orbit places it at its furthest point from the Earth's equator, which affects our planet. Is it a problem that we lose 1.66 milliseconds? In the world of technology and communications, every fraction of a second counts. We have global synchronization systems designed to operate with extreme precision. So it matters maybe. Scientists say that if this trend, speeding up trend, continues, that in about 50 billion years, if we're even around by then, as far as planets and people, the Earth's rotation will synchronize with the moon's orbit and there will be no tides, and we will always see the same side of the moon, making it visible only on half of the planet. Again, who knows? Who knows what'll be happening then, right? Yeah. So there you go. Days are getting a little bit shorter. I saw this story and it just made me think. I had this question for you. What if you had something happen in your life, kind of like a traumatic event, let's say, and you got some texts from people that you care about, and they didn't know what to say. Hard when you lose someone. How do you express your sorrow for what someone is going through? But instead of a heartfelt text, they use AI to come up with, you know, I'm really sorry that your loved one passed away. My condolences, and whatever other nice thing they want to say. Or happy graduation. I know you've worked so hard on this. Or I'm so happy for you and your new spouse on your marriage, or whatever it may be. You're always kind of looking for something that is a nice thing to say, is maybe lovely, but also heartfelt and meaningful. And it can stump people. I mean, I know I've sat there like, what do you say when you know someone just lost their spouse or their child or what have you? What words of uplifting support could you possibly provide? Well, people, it appears, are turning to AI for this. And I just feel like no matter what someone says to you or types to you or texts to you, that's from the heart. And if I knew that it was an AI message, I would completely disregard it. Yeah. There are people that use consistently the AI prompts to text people. So, do you think it's appropriate to use AI to kind of pump up your texts for birthdays, for deaths, obituaries type of thing? And even if it comes from AI, does it still mean that it has the authenticity of coming from your heart? Because you wouldn't have clicked post unless you meant what it said, right? Or should there be some areas where we don't use those tools, where we rely on our own form of expression to connect with someone going through a rough time? This article says if you disclose the role of AI, it could defeat the purpose of these writings, which the whole point of that is to build trust and express care. That one person told the recipient of such a text that he used Chat GPT while writing his Father of the Bride speech. Someone else wished OpenAI had been around when he had written his wedding vows because it would have saved him time. Someone else said they used Chat GPT to write their mom's birthday card, which made her cry, and she keeps it on a side table and reads it over and over every day since the son or daughter gave it to her. So it's not just being used in professional settings, it's being used in personal ways. And I just feel like that's not right. There was a study done in 2023 where 208 adults received a thoughtful note from a friend. And those in the study who were told that the note was written with AI felt less satisfied and more uncertain about where they stood with that friend. It is a study done at Ohio State University. Uh, no, no. If you're going to use AI to write me a birthday card or to send condolences about my father or whatever it may be, I just want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from AI. I could do that myself. Go into the chat, see what you guys have to say. Murphy says, I make sure it's what I mean, but in my processing delayed neurodivergent brain, AI is the difference between being able to respond or just spinning and giving up. I hear what you're saying with that, because there are times where I may type something, delete, type something, no, not good enough, delete, type something, doesn't sound like what I really want to say, doesn't sound impactful enough. So I'd rather say nothing than say something trite, right? So I get what you're saying there, but still, I would almost rather have nothing, or if it's a text or something or just a heart, than have something from AI. Tammy says, I'm going to ask Alexa about this and see what she thinks. Murphy says, yeah, I use AI to help me get started when I don't know what to say. And Doug says, use my own words. I just ask AI to improve it. Sandy writes, AI should be able to do our grunt work for us. Anything personal or creative should be done by humans. Sandy, you and I agree on this. Yeah. Vanessa, though, says, I can see using AI to get a general idea of what to say and then adapt it to your own words. When you are moved to respond, though, to someone, it's because whatever happened to them and your feelings for them have a direct impact on your heart. You hear, I have a TV friend that recently lost her child, and it just felt like a kick in the chest. I never met the child, and I hardly see this woman anymore. But to hear that she lost her young son, who's like 10, 11 years old, the same age as my child, oh my gosh. What do you possibly say to someone, right? Who's going through that? There's nothing I could say to make that better. But there is something I could say just to let her know I'm thinking about her, to let her know that I'm so sorry this happened, that my thoughts are with her. And I don't need AI to do that, because I'm moved to write something by that feeling. So take that feeling and write about that. Don't use AI to do it. Susan says, I think AI will be used more often, whether we like it or not. Not a fan of it, but that's the way it is. Gordon says, I don't use AI for texting. Well, they have, I don't know if you've seen this, maybe you don't realize this is AI, but AI will suggest a text for you, or Google will suggest a response for you. And you ever just click on the response because that's what you meant to say? No, someone texts, I'm going to be late. And the Google response is, no problem. Or, that's okay, whatever. And it's what you would have said anyway. And so you just click on it. I don't know if this is the same thing. Nolaphidian says, AI just uses pro forma expressions. Hallmark texts. Just be a good listener, says Gordon. Yeah. I don't know. It just bothered me. Heather says, I write out my version first. Then I have AI look at it and make suggestions. I don't always accept those suggestions, but sometimes they're helpful. Huh. That's interesting. All right. I tend to think that you're clever and creative enough that you didn't need AI to pump it up. Tammy says, it's based on a feeling, memories, life, and AI doesn't have that reference point. Chaplain Fred says, I really don't use it. I feel that using AI is superficial and not filled either heart and soul. In these instances where you're trying to connect with someone who's going through something, yeah. Mhm. Jim says, "Oh, you've had a rough day at work? I'm sorry, Jim. Well, thank goodness you're here. Take a deep breath. It's over, right?" AI, he says, should not be used for everything. I am afraid we will end up mental dullards if we rely on AI for everything. Yeah, lose the ability to express yourself quickly and with heart, right? Yeah. Tammy says I don't use AI, thinking about using with my ancestry app for brick walls. That's understandable. Sometimes I need AI to make it less clever. Only you would have that problem, my friend. Mama says, I only use that for emails. If you have your email, you're an acquaintance. If I have your phone number, you're probably a friend. Yeah. All right. Good conversation. Love that. Hey, if you live in the Bay Area, guess what? It's another one of those days where the toll is increasing on the Golden Gate Bridge. Fork out another 50 cents, people, because that's what the toll is going up. Mm-hmm. Starting today, the base tolls for the Golden Gate Bridge increase by 50 cents. Fast track rates go from 925 to 975. Base fares for most Golden Gate Transit and Golden Gate Ferry riders also increased by a quarter. The increase part of the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District's 5-year toll and fare program to fund bridge maintenance, operations, and transit services. They've got a $220 million shortfall in that same 5-year period. They say since the pandemic, they haven't really returned to pre-pandemic levels. The ferry ridership is down about 30%, the bus ridership down by 50%. So, they need a little extra, but they always need a little extra. I don't know if I believe their numbers because it seems like they just keep increasing that price no matter what. There are some California laws going into effect as well. There are laws across the country going into effect today in different states. Here in California, we've got some new laws that I thought were interesting enough to talk about. One of them, the minimum wage is going up in many California cities to 16.50 an hour. San Francisco's minimum wage is now 19.18 an hour. Berkeley's also 19.18, Emeryville 19.90, and Fremont 17.75. If you're in Alaska, Oregon, and Washington, D.C., there are also minimum wage increases, and that starts today. Here's a new law in California. And I don't know if you do this, but if I'm at a stoplight, I'll grab my phone, quickly make sure I'm haven't missed a text or, hit call someone. Now, hands off your phone while driving. No touchy. No touchy on the cell phone. July 1st, in June, a California appeals court ruled holding your cell phone for any reason while driving is considered distracted driving. This includes, because I thought you could hold it if you were looking at a map or if you were speaking into the map or something. No. Mm-mm. Navigation apps or looking at a map, phone in hand, banned. Your phone has to be mounted. It cannot be in your paw. Cannot do it. No touchy on the cell phone in California. The law goes into effect today. Also, Airbnb hosts have to disclose fees. It's part of the junk fees law. It mandates short-term rentals like Airbnbs disclose any additional fees or charges added to the total price to be paid, like cleaning fees, penalties for guests who violate the terms of the agreement. All of that has to be disclosed up front. And if they don't, the host of the Airbnb could be penalized up to 10 grand. IVF coverage. The California IVF mandate now requires most health insurance plans in the state to cover the diagnosis and treatment of infertility, including in vitro fertilization. This includes large group plans with over 100 employees. It expands coverage to include LGBTQ folks and single parents. It means California will have one of the most inclusive fertility coverage laws in the country. And I love that. Because if you were going through infertility, but you weren't rich and you couldn't afford, I think it's what, $30,000-$40,000 to have in vitro, and you couldn't afford to do something that most people do so easily, means you can't have kids just because you're not wealthy. Yeah, not fair. Also, sometimes you don't want to sign up for something because you just don't want to go through the hassle to try to cancel it. Jefferson Graham was just talking about how he signs up for stuff for the free, get a free week's trial or a 3-day trial, and then he'll cancel it. Most of us don't cancel it or don't even sign up because we don't want to go through that hassle. Well, it is about to become a lot easier to cancel your online subscriptions in California. It will be illegal for companies to automatically renew your subscription without alerting you in a clear, concise manner of the terms. Once your renewal comes up, the company will need to get your express affirmative consent to an automatic renewal. Thank you. The new click to cancel law applies only to subscriptions that are signed or renewed on or after July 1st of 2025. So from today into the future, anytime you subscribe for something online, they have to ask you before they auto-renew it. This is something that I think is really smart. This is an effort to fight drinks being spiked with God knows what at bars and nightclubs. Now, if you ask for a lid for your drink, they legally have to give it to you. It applies to venues with Type 48 licenses, which means they can sell beer, wine, and spirits without having food available as well. So now these venues, bars, nightclubs, etc., have to keep a stock of drink lids to help protect people from having other people put substances in their drinks. The establishment can charge you a reasonable amount for a lid. I don't know how much that would cost. I'd pay $1 for a lid. I'd pay maybe $5 for a lid to make sure my drink didn't get spiked and I don't have to keep my hand over my drink all night. Absolutely. So those are some of the newest laws taking effect today. All right. It's time. You guys ready for it? It is Travel Tuesday. And I have my daughter home now, who just returned from Germany and Amsterdam and had a really, really lovely time, and is still talking about all the things she saw. And I have a friend, I don't know if it's an interesting story or not. While my sister was in college, she met these German foreign exchange students. We call them the German boys. And they were here in America, of course, with no family. And we all became friends with them. She brought them home for Christmas. And on our trip to Hawaii, they came with us. And they celebrated all the things with our families. And they became very good friends. And one of them now lives in The Hague in the Netherlands. And so I had texted him to say that my daughter was going to be in Amsterdam, but it got me thinking, I don't really know very much about geography. Like, how far away is The Hague from Amsterdam, and what's the difference? Is The Hague part of Amsterdam, or what's the story with that? So I decided to do a little research on that. And in doing so, I thought maybe other people don't know what The Hague's about. So let's check it out. He said, "Oh, I'm not too far away from her when she was in Amsterdam." So he isn't. Look at the map. Here's The Hague. And then there's a couple little towns or communities. And then the Amsterdam airport and Amsterdam. So I thought, wow. And then there's Rotterdam down below The Hague. I thought, what do we really know about The Hague? A lot of people have been to Amsterdam or they have, um, heard about what happens there, what have you. But how often do you hear about people, tourists, going to The Hague? We know that it's a center for international justice, right? The judicial capital of the world, they call it. There are international courts and embassies there. It's a city that uh, is known for politics, royalty. I thought maybe we could go and see what it looks like in The Hague. So here we go. The first thing to do in The Hague this is a top 15 things, by the way, which will show you some scenes from The Hague and some of the buildings there and maybe give you a little flavor. The first one is the Mauritshuis Museum, where you can see painters in the Dutch classicist style. The building was constructed in 1636. Incredible. Inside, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Rubens' masterpieces. There are more than 800 objects in the collection at this Mauritshuis Museum. They are different, separated into different sections, like At Home in Holland, A Generous Gesture, Highlights from the Past, and they are constantly rotating new works and displays. Beautiful building. How about going to see the model city? It's called the Madurodam Model City in The Hague. Look at that. Oh, that must have taken a long time to make. Incredible. This is an extensive attraction. It's a huge scale model representation of various parts of the Netherlands, even with the canal and the bridges. All of the buildings, the vehicles, the people, the trees, recreated to a 1:25 scale with an unbelievable amount of detail. This opened in 1952, and as these areas change, they renovate and change the mini model too. They've revamped the models, they've added new technologies, all kinds of things. Sections of the model include the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. Julia was just there. The Binnenhof, the Schiphol Airport, the Seaport of Rotterdam, Dutch tulip fields, and yes, windmills as well. That could be really fun to walk around. The Maduram, I can say it right, Madurodam Model City. The next one is called the Binnenhof. Look at that old building. Incredible. This large complex is a meeting place for several political groups in the Netherlands, including their Ministry of General Affairs. It is the oldest parliament building still in use in the world. It was originally constructed, get this, in the 1200s. And then it became an important place for political meetings throughout the 1600s as well. You can go in here on the grounds and admire the architecture and the history of the buildings and the Hall of Knights where the Ridderzaal stands. They also have guided tours as well. Speaking of the Ridderzaal, let's get a little closer look at that. This is the central focal point of Binnenhof. It stands in the wonderful Hall of Knights courtyard right inside the complex. It is used as a place where Dutch Parliament is opened by the Prime Minister, and they also host royal receptions here. This is a Gothic-style building with, as you can see here, two large symmetrical towers on either side of this arched entrance. Very decorative, some stained glass windows, an ornate throne inside. It's surrounded by three sides of arches and a neo Gothic fountain that dates back to the 1600s. That fountain in front. Incredible. Next one is the Mess Dog Museum. I almost don't want to click away from this picture. That's so cool. Lots of museums here. This one is within the house of painter Hendrik Willem Mesdag, and it has a collection of fine art that he and his wife put together over the years, mostly featuring Dutch painters from The Hague. Don't forget to go to the beach and the promenade. And I don't know if I can pronounce this right, the Scheveningen Seaside Resort. It's one of the most famous in the Netherlands. It stretches for miles, this beach, from the Hook of Holland up to the port of, I can't say it, Lemuiden? Ilmuiden? There's a promenade, there's sands, golden sands, there's a pier, there's a Ferris wheel, there's shops and amusement parks and bars and restaurants. Super fun. Number 7 is the Drevliet Amusement Park. Even the amusement park looks classic and old, doesn't it? The park, they say, is a fantastic place for the whole family. This is in The Hague. It's got hair-raising roller coasters, which, by the way, Nikki today is doing her dream thing. She's at, I think it's called Cedar Point, roller coaster amusement park somewhere in the Midwest, having a great time. This includes the Formule X and the Twistrix, a log flume, water games, a haunted castle. They say it's a great place, and it's located to the southeastern part of The Hague, and it's a great place for a day trip. I'm going to skip that and go straight to the palace. It's the Peace Palace. If you were going to go to a palace, this is the one. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and she said, we were talking about Europe and my daughter's trip, and she said, I don't know. I mean, you've seen one palace, you've seen them all. I disagree completely. All palaces are not created equal. No. This is the Peace Palace, a building for the administration of law. It houses several different bodies, including the International Court of Justice. It was built in 1913 in this neo-Renaissance design with a large bell tower and ornate arched front facade. It's very lavish inside with statues and busts of notable people. You can take tours here, and there are amazing gardens all around it. And then we get into something a little more modern. This is the Hague Tower. It is a skyscraper that is home to a restaurant and a nightclub, and it is the third tallest building in The Hague. But you can enjoy panoramic views of the city. You can see as far as the Hook of Holland. You can watch boats coming in from the North Sea. The elevator ride in this building takes 40 seconds, and there's an informative movie and a cafe. Kind of fun. This is a beautiful old building. Grote of St. Jacobskirk. Look at that gorgeous old building. This is a Church of St. James. It is a notable religious building in the town center. It is one of the oldest buildings in The Hague. It was constructed in the 15th century. The centerpiece of this is a bell tower that features a detailed mechanical clock with 15 bells. There's wooden carving in the pulpit and a set of detailed, colorful stained glass windows that commemorate religious figures throughout history. How about this one? This is another museum. It's the Gimme 10 Museum in Den Haag. It looks huge, doesn't it? One of the most important museums in this area contains a large collection of artwork and a fascinating building designed by H.P. Berlage. The structure is near the main promenade. The architecture is a quirky, striking design, they say. The art inside is from Degas, Monet, Picasso, Mondrian. It's the largest Mondrian collection in the world. And now we go to Landgoed Klingendel Park. And there it is. This is only open at certain times because of its Japanese garden that's fragile and well maintained. But this is a 17th century manor house and parkland. And it is in a protected area of The Hague. Inside this gate, you'll find a park and a garden, these Japanese gardens that transport you into a different culture. There are Japanese themed pavilions, entrance gates, some beautiful species of plants and trees. Next, let's head to the Prison Gate Museum. That's kind of cool. It's a cool looking city street. This museum is an old prison that was used to house people who committed atrocious crimes from as early as 1420. It gives you those buildings are always so creepy, right? They say this gives you an insightful, chilling look at crime, punishment, and the justice system throughout the years and what an old cell block and prison would have looked like. Oh, my friend Noe Marie would love this place. They have guided tours as part of their ticket price. They're available in both Dutch and English. The English tours are only available on Sundays. But they say for an interesting look at crime and punishment throughout history, the Prison Gate Museum is a great place to visit. Ooh, creepy. Here is the palace. Sorry, Mom, we're going to the palace. This is the Palace Noordeinde, a palatial building belonging to the Dutch royal family. It is one of 3 official palaces they own. And in its early years, it operated as a medieval farmhouse around 1500. Then it was converted into a palace. And in later years, it was turned into an actual working palace where the Dutch royalty do conduct many of their affairs of state. It has these imposing iron gates and an impressive design. Hard to believe that it was ever a medieval farmhouse sitting on this land. And lastly, we're going to Lange Voorhout. So beautiful. Clearly fall would be the best time to visit here. This is a beautiful street in the center of Den Haag in the old city center. It is a fantastic place to walk, admire your surroundings, and relax. It's a wide street with 2 roads and a central section lined with trees. 18th century buildings line the street, and there are important buildings as well. A lot of the embassies are located in this area. Beautiful. Look at that. And romantic too. And there we have it. We were just at The Hague. Look at us. Aren't we worldly? Much different than Amsterdam. One of the best things Julia did, at least from the pictures, was take a tour on a boat through the canals of Amsterdam. And I looked at the pictures she sent, and it looked like the cars were parked very, very close to the edge where you would have to parallel park. And if you got it wrong, you would end up right in the canal. And apparently, she said, yeah, they tell you on the boat tour how many cars end up in the drink and how many bikes as well, and that you have to have extra insurance if you live in this area because they've lost so many cars and boats in the canals of Amsterdam. Anyway, that, my friends, is Travel Tuesday. Thank you for going along for that. virtual ride. I feel like I know so much more about The Hague now. Look at us. We're awesome. Yes, Cedar Point. That is where Nikki is. Loving it. Absolutely. Tammy's like, another palace? What are you? I'm going to kick you next door with my mom. JT says, my daughter moved to Germany from San Francisco just over 1 year ago and really likes it. That is so cool because when Julia was in Germany, she was in Leipzig, Germany, and they have a university there. And that, I think, was her favorite place that she went. She said she could see herself attending college there. So I hope your daughter is having a really good experience in Germany. I said, if you're going to college in Germany, you better start learning German now. I can't imagine, in just 2 years, knowing enough to be sitting in classes and absorbing information. All right. Looking at the chat. Vanessa says it's weird to see so many very old buildings when you've spent your whole life in earthquake country where almost nothing was built before 1907. I think that might be why I'm so fascinated with those old buildings, Vanessa. When you see that something was built in 1200 in the so long ago, wild, amazing. Yes, Nullifidian, that is where the International Court is located, in The Hague, the Netherlands. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out here on the After Party Live. I hope you'll join us tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. It starts right around 11 a.m. And you'll find John Rothman on the show. Former federal prosecutor David Katz will be on the show. Michael Snyder will be on the show. And it's going to be a great send-off into the 4th of July holiday weekend. And then please join me afterward right back here for the After Party Live. I'm hoping to have Tim Sika on the show, but if not, maybe we'll do a little trivia as we head on into the holiday weekend. All right, everybody, make it the very best rest of your Tuesday that you can, and I'll meet you tomorrow right back here on the YouTube.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Bye-bye.
That's Jacob.
Bye, Trevor. Bye, Judy. What's up?
Rev P.
Doug.